Thank you very much, Francis, Judy. Good to see you guys. Hello and welcome to everyone out there. Jan and Kyle, good to see you guys. Good morning. How are you doing today? Or good afternoon, depending on where you are. How are you doing today?
Hi, Joseph. I will start then. Thank you very much for hosting us. Thank you very much for EPARTRADE. And I'm doing very good. Thank you. And hi from France.
Excellent, excellent. Well, good to see you. Good luck in the World Cup. What are we going to learn about today? I recall our seminar from last year was very impactful. I'm excited to find out what's new for 2022.
Yeah, excellent. Jan, would you like to start? Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys having us on board this morning. It's morning time for me. Jan, it's the end of his day over on the other side of the world. But we are excited to be here. We're speaking of renewable fuels now. The industry is starting to change. We recognize that. Haltermann Carless being kind of the leader of renewable technology over on the other side of the world in Europe. Allows us here in the States to have an advantage and a step ahead in regards to the race segment for our fuels. So we're going to kind of dive into the renewable technology of what we've been doing so far and what our activities are up to in 2022 and 2023.
Thank you for that, Kyle. May you share the screen, your screen in the presentation?
Yes,
we
sir.
have backup slides. Support the introduction of sustainability in motorsports and sustainability through sustainable fuels.
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second.
No worries, guys. And that is why I am here. We appreciate you guys. But these tech seminars, right? People have questions. You guys are able to run through a process and share your screen and show us exactly where you guys are coming from. I think everyone is going to be very interested. All right, let's see what we got.
I can see your screen now. Okay.
You guys can see my screen?
I can. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, great. Again, we're going to speak about renewable technology, and Reneweblaze is our product line and kind of our segment and our way into this. Obviously, you can see that the reduction of carbon footprint is huge, and that is one of our main components to reformulating or formulating the Reneweblaze product line of ours. So, agendas today, we're going to do a real quick overview on things. But I just wanted we'll give a little bit of history if anyone's not familiar with ETS. In Europe, ETS is well known. Here in the States, it is still considered a growing brand. We have a lot of heritage. The ETS brand does, especially in Europe. But in regards to the automotive segment and racing in general, ETS has got a deep pedigree, no doubt. So we want to dive right into that, if you guys don't mind.
Go for it.
So, a little company overview for you guys. ETS Fuels is a flagship motorsport brand for the HCS group, which is the Haltermann Carless group. The history of that was found within gentlemen Jay Haltermann and E. Carless. These two gentlemen have essentially paved the way for what was considered petrol, what their name was for the component that they were using, specifically developed towards the invention of what was the new vehicle, which was a car. It was the car back in 1893. 1889, ETS started to a subsidiary of Esso, a partner of Peugeot 905, and the 24-hour Le Mans team. So that's essentially where ETS kind of got its foot in the door with racing, was through the Peugeot team, the 905 in 24-hour Le Mans, which, as we all know, is one of the most prestigious races for automotive. So,
if I may, Carl,
yes,
just
sir.
like to explain one more time. So HES Group, Hartemann Carless is the merge of three companies. The first one, Hartemann, a German company. The other one, the Carless company. And the third one, the French company named ETS. Nowadays, we are all together, all combined together, and different applications. One of application is what we call the performance fuels activity. And for the performance fuels activities, we have three manufacturing sites in Europe and one manufacturing site in the USA. Can go ahead.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Jan. So obviously, ETS, the Formula Win brand, you know, that is our kind of our calling is the Formula Win. And essentially, you know, what we're a high quality product and technical service company. And that's what ETS stands for, SO Technologies and Services. Definitely have the strong background on the track, obviously with the heritage where we have with Le Mans. The distribution that what we have essentially being that we're on the other side of the world, and now that we have the market here in the States, we have the capabilities of providing a distribution network with worldwide logistics and customs. Our close technical cooperations as well, the partnerships with series organizers and OEMs being like Suzuki here, KTM for an example. We've worked with Lamborghini, we've worked with AMG Mercedes, you know, examples of that, of kind of where we stand in the pedigree of OEMs. You know, our innovative solutions of strong focus on renewable fuels. Obviously, that is the big talk nowadays, and ETS has really pushed themselves into becoming the forefront on renewable technology.
Absolutely, yeah. As you all know, the motorsport industry is very in need of paving sustainability and promote more and more sustainability. Here you can see the FIA objectives, their 15 objectives that set up in 2020 and their roadmap. So they have several objectives classified under either the climate actions, the sustainable practices, but also the innovations and technology. So we as ETS are fully involved in the innovation and technology phase. And as you can see here in 2025, the requirements of FIA is to integrate sustainability and sustainable innovations by at least 25% of their championships. One way to support sustainability is the introduction of sustainable fuels in championships. And this is what FIA started in 2022 and continue to implement for the next years. If we can go on the next slide, please. This is where we are supporting the industry. But first, we need to define what is the sustainable fuel. So the definition of a sustainable fuel is a fuel which would be, let's say, comparable of a fossil fuel in terms of compositions, but that fuel no more add any further carbon from fossil source. I mean that sustainable fuels are fuels which are recycling the carbon dioxide, which is currently present in the air. There's two ways of recycling the carbon dioxide. It's either through biomass. As you know, the biomass is integrating CO2 and grow from that. Either there's new technology that we call either PTL or e-fuels. Basically, those are technology developed by humans and which allow to capture the carbon. Then once you capture the carbon from the CO2, you have to transform it and to combine those different atoms of carbons to create fuels, different types of fuels according to different types of engine applications. So you have existing on the market some sustainable diesel, sustainable gasoline, or for example, sustainable jet fuel that we can hear more and more now for jet turbine. So what we can, what we can see is the next one is how do we manufacture our Reneweblaze range? So Reneweblaze is the range that we dedicate for renewable solutions. The first, on the bottom, you can see the carbon capture power to liquid, what we call the PTL. It's a very interesting technology. It's an emerging technology, but it's still quite new. So there will be more and more used in the future. The principle is the following. So the industry will capture CO2 from the atmosphere and will transform that CO2 through green energy into either syngas, so synthetic gas, if you like, or e-alcohol. So from the alcohols, it could be methanol, for example, e-methanol or e-ethanol. Those are the two main technologies that we hear of. Those ethanol can either be used as pure alcohol. Those e-alcohol can be used as pure molecules, let's say, or pure streams. Their advantage is that they have high octane components. So they are sustainable and high octane. Nevertheless, as lots of you may know, they are not fully compatible with the fuel systems. We know in the USA and worldwide, there are some cars running with 100% methanol, for example, or 100% ethanol, but it's a very, not a lot of cars are vehicles are running this way. So with normal passenger cars, that solution of using only pure alcohol is not suitable. So if we come back a little bit earlier on, these alcohol can also be transformed as through the process called e-alcohol to hydrocarbons. Some I've may heard of MTG or ETG, so it's methanol to gasoline, for example, or ethanol to gasoline. That's a production way, let's say, a little bit similar than the syngas, and all of them are creating e-fuels. So the e-fuels are products, those are hydrocarbons made from renewable sources. Their advantage is that they are drop-in solutions. They are compatible with the current fuel systems because they are most, let's say, a little bit like the current fossil hydrocarbons. Nevertheless, they have some disadvantages. They have low octane value, which is a problem for motorsport applications, but also they are much more expensive right now than fossil hydrocarbons because those are emerging technologies. So this is the first block, let's say, that we could use, but nowadays, on today, it's still extremely limited quantities available on the market. I think in 3-4 years from now, that will be much more accessible materials. So the way we are using and developing our fuel right now is using the biomass solution that you can see on the upper end. On the biomass, as I explained earlier on, basically the biomass is capturing the CO2, and from that CO2, they are creating plants, biomass. And those plants can come, this biomass can come from either the first generation biofuels. For example, it's well known in USA, for example, ethanol is a fuel. It's a biofuel made from maize, okay? So maize or corn are grown on arable land. So those land could be used to feed people. And there is in Europe, at least, a kind of complex, let's say, to use that type of biofuels. So in Europe, we prefer to use second generation biofuels. What we call the second generation biofuels, as I mentioned, are preferred feedstock for FIA, by FIA or by FIM. Their advantage is that they do not compete with food crops. So it's made from waste, okay? Cellulosic waste. In terms of greenhouse gas saving reduction, they support higher claims in terms of savings. So when you have those raw materials, then you are going to produce some alcohols. Those alcohols can be either ethanol, methanol, isobutanol, isopropanol. There's lots of potential alcohols, bioalcohols produced. As mentioned earlier on with the e-alcohols, those alcohols can be used pure, but we know their problematics, the fact that they are not compatible with the fuel system, or they can be transformed as well as through the alcohol to hydrocarbons technology, so ETG or MTG. Here also, interesting things are it's drop-in solutions. They are compatible with current fuel system, but they have low octane value and they are more expensive than fossil hydrocarbons. So the way we are produce our Reneweblaze range is that we are sourcing different type of technologies. Of all those technologies, we are mixing them together. So this is what we call our fuel formulation process. In laboratory, we make different formulations that we test internally and we test externally at partners being laboratories, being as well car manufacturers or fuel tank providers. Once we achieve a good formulations matching the customer's requirements, then we are making our blending process in large quantities, and we are finally blending, producing the fuel and packing it into our different packagings. So those create our kegs of Reneweblaze products. And we have, of course, a large portfolio of products with different formulations, and that's something we will present in the next slides. So when we offer fuels to our customers, we need to find the right balance. And finding the right balance in the sustainable fuel development is not easy. We have 5 main criteria we need to balance. The first one is the performance. For example, what is the octane requirement from the car? The second one will be the price. You have customers willing to pay a high price for a high performance, high greenhouse gas emission saving fuels. Some are not. As mentioned earlier on, the first generation or second generation is a question that we need to ask to our customers. Some are happy with the first G, so some others are not happy with the first G. We need as well to balance with the fuel system compatibility. Some of our customers, some of their vehicles are compatible with, let's say, E10 fuels, while some other will be compatible with E30. So that's a criteria which is very important when we develop the fuel. And finally, we have to consider as well what is the kind of greenhouse gas emissions that the customers are willing. Do they want to go with a low price, 20% sustainably made fuel, or do they want to go with a high price, let's say higher price at least, fully sustainable fuel? So this is the right balance we need to find. It's not easy, but talking closely to the championship organizers, talking with the OEMs and teams, we find the good balance, and we provide the product needed to the industry. If we go on the next slide, I will pass the overview about what are the challenges right now for the sustainable fuels industry. The oil industry, there is still a limited panel of molecules if we compare to the fossil one, which makes sense. This is new emerging technologies, so we are limited, unfortunately, but we do at best with what we have. Secondly, there is especially a lack of availability of light hydrocarbons components. So the fuels, especially the gasoline, are a little bit more, let's say, less volatile and or heavier than the usual suspect for fossil racing fuels. One of the issues is as well that the most hydrocarbons molecules available right now are low octane. We do not find easily high octane molecules at a decent price. And of course, globally, the components we source are more expensive than the usual fossil technologies. I will come back with the fact that components are a little bit heavier. The fact that the hydrocarbons that are a bit heavier, it causes some technical issue for some types of vehicles. If we are talking on a V8 carbureted engine, we will not have issue at all with that. But when we are talking of GDI engine, especially in Europe with small bore and very high pressure of turbo, then there is some issues that has been faced by the industry for oil dilution. There's as well potential problem with fuel system compatibility if certain types of technology of oxygenates or e-fuels are used. So the oil industry is learning from that, and we have developed some solutions. If we go on the next slide, please, Kyle. We have developed some solutions, and our solutions are the following. First is the fact that we are continuously developing and testing new formulations. So I'm the head of motorsport activities within HES. I have a chance to have, let's say, an unlimited resources to develop the fuels. So since now 2 years that we started strongly the development of the motorsports renewable fuels, I think we have developed more than 120 different formulations. So we have the capacity as the HES group involved in a huge transition from fossil products into sustainable product. We have the capacity of sourcing and identifying sustainable solutions worldwide. And of course, I can, as a manager of racing application, I can benefit from that. So it's really a chance that we do have. So we are continuously developing new solutions. And those solutions, we are making sure of having them tested by car manufacturers, by engine tuners, etc., to make sure that they are not creating issues on the engines. Based on the issues faced on WRC since start of the year with oil dilution, we have developed specific technology to avoid oil dilution in the small size GDI engine. We have also developed fuels which are not aggressive, and those fuels have been tested and approved by tank providers, elastomers providers, and as well according to certain certifying labs used to test compatibility between fuels and elastomeric compounds. We develop multiple products to fit the users' needs, and we supply what we call true drop-in solutions. We have heard some people saying they were developing true drop-in solutions, and at the end, that those fuels were not drop-in solutions because all OEMs had to change their fuel systems, and it was very expensive for the industry to change their fuel system to match the fuel. So what our claim, let's say, is to say, yeah, this is a true drop-in solution fuels that we provide. And finally, we are having our raw materials certified by ISCC. ISCC is the International Sustainability Carbon Certification System. Basically, long story short, it's an auditing company which prove basically that the components you are using are sustainable, and the claims in terms of greenhouse gas emission savings that you're claiming are according a normalized calculation process. So I would not say it's 100% CO2 savings fuel, because this doesn't exist on the market. So using ISTC allows us to give true numbers, not invented numbers. And as I mentioned earlier on, so we have developed more than 120 formulations. Here we can have a small overview of our portfolio. So it's a short overview, as you can understand. So we have a range of products, which is, let's say, if we take the example, the first one, it's a 98 RON, okay, not a 98 octane for our US friend. It's a 98 RON fuel with R20. So R20 stands for 20% of renewable content. You will understand that the fuel below the Reneweblaze 102 R20 is a RON 102 with 20% sustainable components made. If we go down and down, then Reneweblaze 98 R50, 50% with a RON 98. We have a specific 102 fuel made by 70% sustainable design, especially designed for classic cars, so meaning not aggressive at all on the old types of engines. Reneweblaze 104 R70, it's a higher octane, not FIA regulated fuel, but providing performance to old Formula One cars. If we go down, Reneweblaze 102 E20, the fuel that we use and fuel in Dakar, we will see on the next slides. The LPC3 and LPC4 R100 are fully sustainable fuel, which has been developed especially to avoid the oil dilution. So those fuel has been tested. I've made a presentation last week about it, and we achieved amazing results for a sustainable fuel, a fully sustainable fuel, having very low oil dilutions. And finally, we have Reneweblaze GTA R100 and Nihon R100 that we supply in Japan to World Championship. Fully sustainable fuels compatible with the GIS regulation, GIS being the Japanese standard for pump fuel. And finally, we also produce Reneweblaze 2G diesel R100, so it's a fully sustainable diesel fuel.
So this gives some insight, guys, in regards to who's using our technology at this point. You know, we've developed these products, and now with the efforts of our team in Europe, we've been able to solidify the Formula 4, which is a UK series, and the British Touring Car Championship in UK as well. These particular engines are quite well known. I mean, 1.6 to 2 liter 4-cylinder GDI engines. It's kind of well known here in the States as well. So just showing some of the advancements and some proof of the fact that our product actually does work, and we're currently using. Another example, obviously, is what we have is in the Dakar Rally. This is kind of a unique series, as everybody knows. It's a one-off, but what this does is it gives the opportunity to really show for parts manufacturers and essentially with fuel as well. These are the best tests. These are the true torture tests of what parts and longevity of the parts can do. Fuel is obviously a major issue with heat index and heat issues. So just kind of goes to show when we did come into this part of the market with renewable technology, we wanted to make sure it was a stable product and it wasn't something that was going to have any issues. Something like the Dakar Rally, which is arguably the nastiest and most grueling race that we have here worldwide. Another example is what we have is now we're actually supporting the Super GT Endurance Championship Series in Japan. These are kind of what we see here in the States with IMSA, with you have a V8 and a 500 horsepower V8 at that, and we've obviously shown that we have success there as well.
Yeah, if I may, for this series, they will start full year from 2023. So their requirements was the fact that so far they were using pump fuel, local pump fuel. So they decided to switch from local pump fuel into a fully sustainable fuel because the Japanese industry is very keen to support the thermic engine and to demonstrate worldwide that sustainable fuels are a very nice solution. So their technical requirement was to make a true drop-in solution. So no change of the engine fuel system, no change on the engine itself. Of course, a slight adaptations of the engine mapping that makes sense as soon as you are changing fuel. And during the whole 2022 season, either the Super GT Championship and ourselves, we decided to take our time to make sure that the fuel we are developing is tested, long time testing, and making sure that we will not create any issue. So this has started from March with further dyno test, and the latest weeks that was 2-3 weeks ago, sorry, the track test was done in Motegi, and it was extremely well received by the drivers and by the team. So everyone was extremely happy with that switch. Some driver has said that they didn't felt any change in terms of car performance, and unless the fact that they were not aware of it, they would not think that they are running on a fully biofuel. And what is interesting is that that fuel is still providing a high octane, around 101, 188, and it has a very limited oxygen content, just 3.7% oxygen. So it is basically equivalent to a E10 fuel, but E10 fuel that you found at the pump station is only 10% sustainable. This one is fully sustainable. Thank you.
Yeah, and no, absolutely. I just wanted to add to that. I mean, I think here in the States, there's this level of hesitancy of us starting to cross over from the fossil fuels into this renewable technology. And, you know, in Europe, as they've outlawed lead nearly almost 40 years ago, they've had to adapt to new technologies and new components to still keep up, you know, with what the latest engine technology is. So here in the States, you know, it's an honest statement when we say we're all a little hesitant to see what this is all going to do and how this is going to affect us as racers. But that's what's so nice with this particular opportunity that we have with our Reneweblaze line is we've already been into this race application, into these well-known series. And as we know, as racers here, we need that bridging of the gap to show that this is not just words, these are not just suggestions, these are actually, the proof is there, the product works. And, you know, as you know, we transfer away from the fossil fuel, it will be a little bit easier to adapt, especially here in the States, because we're very keen to what we know, and we kind of close ourselves to, hey, what we know is what we know, and that's all we want to do. And so I think now with something like this, these examples allows us to kind of open up our eyes and our hearts a little bit as racers to see, okay, can we actually bring this technology and be successful? Another one, just as for us here, Jan had mentioned on the Japanese, Superbike series. This is an example of the entire series adopting. As you can see in the picture there, we have every manufacturer that has now tested and given the approval that the product does work. And really for us here in the States, to have the MFG Superbike Championship running exclusive renewable technology, showing that even in a motorcycle application, that absolutely we can have that success.
Yeah, we can say that we are covering different types of applications. If we go back to the UK with touring car and opening wheels, Formula 4, extreme, let's say, off-road through the Astra team in Dakar, and the Super GT, so supercars in Japan, and now the motorbikes industry as well. So we have developed a product line with different fuels, matching the different customer requirements and wishes. We have much more, or we have more good news, let's say, with more users and more championships to adopt Reneweblaze. So far, the press release has not been pushed, so we are not allowed to say that. But yeah, more exciting news to come in the next weeks.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, that attests, you know, these last couple of years, there's been this absolute growth and change towards this, and so you know, this is something that is going to be inevitable here for us. But what is nice is ETS being kind of the forefront and the pioneers of this performance-based renewable product. It's going to help us here in the States as well.
Okay. So yeah, the sum up is the following: that Reneweblaze are made from renewable fuels, advanced renewable fuels. They are designed with the aim to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We have a complete range with up to 100% renewable components. Materials are certified according to ISTC. They are now already available in very large quantities, and they are high performance and drop-in solutions. So the motorsport industry can benefit of low carbon footprint fuels with no loss of performance. And I guess the petrol head will be very happy that there are solutions nowadays existing to keep safe the thermic engines.
Guys, that basically concludes what we're doing. in our presentation here, but we definitely want to make sure that if there's any type of questions that any of our users or subscribers have here, to please reach out. You know, this is something, like I said, it's new. Over the last couple of years, it's really gotten a lot of momentum here. We can definitely see that this is going to be coming here pretty soon, within probably the next 5 years. So we definitely want to make sure that we're here for our customers and here for the new users as well.
And guys, there is actually a question in the chat section from Phil, and so I'm just going to drop that on you. Phil asks, you know, what is the biggest hurdle? And of course, American motorsport, NASCAR is huge. What is the biggest hurdle for a NASCAR to adopt a 100% renewable fuel? And I think that's something that everyone is wondering, like, you know, big horsepower V8s, renewable fuels. Is that possible? Is it coming? And what are you guys thinking about that? Asks Phil.
The biggest hurdle will be the biggest hurdle will be the cost. The cost of the fuel. So we know NASCAR, the cost and the willingness, I would say. It's not just about the cost. So for sure, sustainable fuel is more expensive than fossil fuel. There's no doubt about that. NASCAR is currently supplied by Sunoco. So I would say I will leave that to Sunoco and to NASCAR to discuss together how they can make it happen. If they want some help, we are more than happy to support. We are ready to support.
Excellent. Excellent. More questions coming in, guys. I'm just going to hit you with them as they come in. And to our audience out there, if you have a question for Kyle or for Jan, now's the time. This is very interesting because it's a future focused topic. I love that about it, guys. We all wonder, you know, where is all of this going? And the fact that you've blazed this trail is really important. What is the longer impact to physical components in the engine in terms of corrosion, erosion, et cetera? You know, where in the engine, as related to these fuels, I think about leaded fuel and valve lubrication, that kind of stuff. So what can you say for Bob out there?
Will depend on the technology of the fuel itself. The engine itself, as I mentioned earlier on, let's say it depends on the engine. So is it a carbureted engine? Is it a port fuel injection? Is it a gasoline direct injection? That's the first question we must be able to answer to. Based on that, the gasoline direct injections are the ones more keen potentially to suffer of sustainable fuels, because as I mentioned, some raw materials are a little bit heavier than the usual light fraction race fuels, and because they are heavier, they can create more oil dilution. And oil dilution will not happen in carbureted engine at all because of the technology of the engine itself. It will not happen neither in big block engine. It will not happen in port fuel injection. But direct injection, especially the one with the small bore, because the fuel is heavy, it will not have the chance to vaporize from the liquid phase into the gaseous phase. So the drops of fuel will fall directly on the surface of the cylinder and directly into the lubricant box. And of course, that's what we call the oil dilution.
Interesting.
I hope it helps.
No, very good.
But we don't see especially erosion or corrosion itself, because if we take the example of the GTA R100 fuel we have with 3.7% oxygen, there is no negative impact on the fuel system. And we are talking of fuel of a chemistry which is extremely similar than the usual fossil fuel. It's just where it comes from. So it comes from a biomass, not on the ground.
Excellent. And Bob, just to continue, what about seals, O-rings, fuel bladders, all that, same situation?
Absolutely. That could be an issue. So it all depends on the quality of first your equipment, and secondly the quality of the fuel. If your equipment is used to run with 100% hydrocarbons fuel and cannot stand something like 10% ethanol, you will have to go for the same technology. of biofuels, so meaning 100% bio hydrocarbons. Nevertheless, nowadays you don't find it would be useless, let's say, to add lead in a biofuel, knowing that lead is very toxic and very bad for environment. Therefore, you would have to stay with the octane provided by your biohydrocarbons, which are not very high. So it's a matter of balance. There are we have developed at least our fuel to make sure that they are not creating issues on technologies of seals or rings, especially because, as I mentioned earlier on, the industry, one championship heavily suffered of fuel system compatibility when they started this year. And we made attention to avoid such issues. So it's a matter of the fuel provider and the solution they can develop and provide to the end users.
Excellent. I love that you've inspired so many questions. Here's another one from Richard out there. Amateur road racers use street motors in several classes. Which fuel most closely represents the 93 to 100 octane US pump fuel that people are used to getting at their local gas station? Which of these, for engine comparison?
93. So if we talk about the 93, I will promote the Reneweblaze 98, because 93 is what we call the octane, the AKI octane in the USA, and this is basically the RON plus MON divided by 2. So if I make the calculation, 93 octane would be something like a 98 RON. So which will most closely will replace the 93. Then I would say that would be your Reneweblaze 98. Either R20, either a R50. We have also a R100. I didn't promote it, but we have a RON 98 fully sustainable. With regards to the 100 octane, so let's make the same calculation. 100 octane will be something close to 105 RON. We do have developed a Reneweblaze 105 R60. So we have a 60% sustainable made fuel, which provide an octane of a US octane of 100.
Excellent. Jose wants to know if you have any experience that you can share with dyno testing or lab results for oil deterioration, one or the other. Thank you for your question, Jose.
Absolutely. As I was saying, 2 weeks ago, we were promoting, we had a stand at Professional World Motorsport Expo in Köln in Germany, and I was making a presentation about these oil dilution issues. So just bear with me, I'm going to share my screen soon and show you a few presentation. Oh, où est-ce que j'ai mis ça? Presentation and con. Here we are. Here we go. How can I stop? Start. Is that okay? Can you see that?
No, sir.
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh yeah, sure.
There we go. Something's happening now.
Okay.
There we go.
So, okay, good. So I was mentioning earlier on the LPC, Reneweblaze LPC technologies that we have developed. So in WRC, huge issues has been met with oil dilutions. And basically those are results performed at IFPEN, which is the French Institute of Petroleum for New Energy. So this is a test conjointly developed by FIA and by IFPEN. In the future, FIA will always use that test to make sure that the fuel they are choosing is not creating oil dilution issues. They are learning from their mistake, like everyone. So in 2022, the WRC Fuels is giving that type of oil dilution results according to the test. Long story short, every 120 kilometers, we've been reported that the car has to change their oil because there were too high oil depletion issue. So what we've done is we've developed several fuels. We have the LPC1, LPC3, and LPC4. LPC3 is not shown on that graph. I got the result last week. It's in the middle of the LPC1 and LPC4. So the oil dilution is much lower than the current fully sustainable WRC fuel, and it's very close to the E10. So the E10 fuel is what we call the Euro 6 emission testing reference fuels. All the car manufacturers, the industry, when they are manufacturing cars, they have to approve their car emissions according to a certification fuel named E10 Euro 6. So the IFPN used that fuel as a reference, and basically our technology is fully sustainable, is very close to the E10 emission fuels. It is not as close as the fossil fuel used in 2021 at WRC. And basically that was the explanation I was providing in the earlier slides. There is a lack of light components, bio components. So when you are a manufacturer of fuels, on motorsport fuels, you can access to lots of components, light components, and you can make fuels, motorsport fuels, which evaporate quickly. Nowadays, with the limited access of biohydrocarbons, we cannot produce fuel which are evaporate as quickly as the fossil fuels, which are giving lower oil dilutions. I hope that is clear.
Yeah, that works for me. And that's what people want to see, right? They want to see results and graphs and charts that prove the point, just like that. There is another question.
Okay, sorry, here we are.
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
we were talking earlier on of the fuel compatibility with the elastomers and etc. So we run tests at Intertech. It's a worldwide recognized laboratory. We have tested the elastomers, which are FKM AMS. The testing conditions are 30 degrees C and a test time of 70 hours. We know WRC Fuels has created lots of issues, so we use that as a reference, and our target is to be better. So two criteria are measured. First, the mean volume change of the elastomer, and another test is to check the mean hardness change. So you can see the WRC fuel is providing these results. Or LPC1, which is better in terms of oil dilution, is providing such results, which were not fully satisfying for us. So we've developed LPC3 and LPC4, which are, let's say, very close to are making no impact, basically. This is considered as no impact on the volume change or the hardness change. Either this one, as well, this one is considered as no impact. I should have integrated how fossil fuel is impacted. I will do it later on. But basically, we are, in terms of fuel compatibility, we are very similar with a fossil fuel. And the last fuel which is shown is the one used in Japan. It's the GETA R100 as well. There is no impact, or very limited impact, on the compatibility with elastomers.
Excellent, excellent. And believe it or not, we're running, starting to run short on time. I see Francisca on there. It's amazing how rapidly 50 minutes go when you're learning. But I would love for you, Jan and Kyle, to please give the most vital information, because there were even a couple of more questions in the chat section. These folks want to reach out to you. They want to know where and how they can connect with you. There was a gentleman who was interested in distributorship. So why don't you give your vital information, contact information, and an action step for the audience out there?
And Kyle, please present the last slide of the presentation. And
yes,
guys, which are interesting, make a screenshot.
Yes. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and
Great stuff.
we actually pushed ETS Racing Fuels products back on the homepage of EPARTRADE. So go on epartrade.com right now, and ETS products are right there. And within a click, you can connect with Ian and Kyle. So thank you very much, Ian. I know it's beginning of the evening for you in France, and thank you, Kyle, and thank you, Bill, and everybody at ETS for your support and for a great presentation today.
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to EPARTRADE.